Nichole.
And I'm Giu.
And welcome to Nichole and Giu Live, our podcast where we talk about things we love, things we hate, and things we love to hate.
You know what we especially love to hate? Twilight.
This is it, guys. It's happening. We're doing the movie. It was, of course, we had to. We felt like we had to.
Well, we did the book, so we can't do the book and then not do the movie, because the movie's where all of the memes and everything spawned from.
The movie's where the memes spawn from. The movie's why we have created the extended Twilight universe in the way that we have. The movie is very important. We thought that we should probably just, get it under our belts and out of the way. And this is it. We have a 4-hour deep dive into the book, into the plot of this movie, of this franchise, of this phenomenon. So if you're looking for that, seek that there. Like I said, 4 hours and 12 minutes. It's pretty respectable, but I think it's pretty good all the way through. And you guys can sink your teeth into that. I made a funny. But sink your teeth into that as you will. And in this, we're mostly going to be discussing the cultural fucking phenomenon of this movie. The memes are just never ending.
Exactly. We are going to talk about that, and then also those little differences of things that they took in or left out.
Yeah, just generally our thoughts, our feelings, our love for baby Kristen Stewart and baby Robert Pattinson. I made the comment to Giu earlier that this is when everybody, maybe even including Kristen herself, thought she was straight.
Oh my god, I know. Remember when it was a big deal to not be straight?
Yeah. This is such early times, guys. It's just really honestly peak. Just everything in this movie is just so perfectly of its time. The humor is it's very quippy. I really enjoy it. There's a lot to love about this movie, as corny and dumb as it is.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of its time, but I feel like the humor in movies during this era was pretty funny for the most part.
And I do love the casting, and we thank this franchise for Kristen Stewart, who we love, and honestly Robert Pattinson. I would made the comment while we were watching that I don't think that anybody even ever realized the fucking raw talent of that man's acting abilities. Honestly, because who honestly could do Edward? He's such a weird fucking character.
Robert Pattinson's actually a good actor. I think people just memed on him so hard that I think everybody forgot.
Yeah, it's because this movie is so funny, because Edward is such a weird fucking character, but Robert Pattinson honestly plays him perfectly.
Yeah, he's very true to how it is in the books, I feel, and it's just such a weird, strange timeline. Anyway, we're going to get into it. Like we said, if you want a deep dive on what we actually think of the plot and everything, we're going to try to skim over it in this, because like Nichole just said, we literally have a 4-hour podcast where we already discussed it. So this is mostly just going to be us discussing the movie. But that being said, should we jump into it?
We should jump in with both feet.
All right, let's do it. All right, so the movie opens with a deer running through the forest, and I just want to say now we're going to get these random montages of things being hunted just thrown into the movie randomly.
Yeah. It's interesting the things that they add, because it is a movie, so it needs different things. It can't just be told in the same way as the book. So it's interesting the things that they add in that just aren't in the book at all, including these hunting scenes and stuff, which is obviously,
yeah, they're trying to give us a little bit of context right away. Then we immediately switch to Bella lamenting about leaving her mom and her mom's new husband.
Oh yeah, it's voiceover Bella. She's I would miss Phoenix, the sun, every.
And then immediately, I don't remember what song it is, but this soundtrack is the bomb. And immediately, I don't remember what was playing, but there was some song playing, and it's all right, here we go. Just immediately, we're ramping up with our nice I don't know what genre, I guess
Like
alternative
very indie
2000s. Yeah.
alternative. Indie alternative, I'd say. I think it's like Full Moon something. But anyways, it's like it's a really like this soundtrack is such a banger. Like we have two original Paramore songs on this album, one of which Haley always plays at her live shows.
Oh, that's wholesome.
It's like so good. It like makes my life every time.
Immediately, we're switching to Bella driving with her dad in the police car. They're going to their house. There was a part where they drove by like a wooden grizzly bear statue, and Nicole and I were just saying that we need to go to Forks and compare. We
Oh
need
my
to know.
god.
I'm pretty sure you can go to the house, but I don't.
You said that. I had never heard that before. Like, if that's real, like, oh my God. Like, because I really would like to know. Like, there's so many, like, weird, quirky little things in this town. Like, there's that, like, wooden grizzly bear statue, and, like, all the, like, buildings are pretty unique looking. Like, I'm wondering if it's, like, because we looked it up, it wasn't shot on location. But I'm wondering if they, like, really took, like, what the town actually looked like into consideration.
Yeah, and I don't know if the house is like in Oregon or Forks. I really don't know. I did not do any research. I'm just fairly certain you can go there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. We need to like look further into that.
I thought this was funny when they get to the house. I didn't even notice that Bella is just like holding a small cactus in her hand. Like she has a backpack and a cactus. And I'm thinking like she just got off a plane and we didn't see her get off the plane, but like did her dad give her the cactus? Did
No, she checked it.
did she check the cactus? Did she take the cactus through security?
She had to have. Like, I wonder if the TSA would let you through with the cactus. Would they consider that a weapon? Like, you can't bring nail clippers, but can you bring like a small
Like a
cactus?
small cactus? I don't know. We could find out. We have to do it for research. Let's bring a cactus to the airport.
Oh my god. NOLA trip, bring a cactus.
So then they go inside. Bella and her dad just kind of stand around awkwardly until her dad walks out of the room.
I actually like have a comment about just like Kristen Stewart has this like particular kind of awkwardness. Like, I don't know. I think it's just like in her being. I think she's just like a little bit of an awkward person, and that's fine. It works so well for Bella because like when she's interacting like with her dad and stuff, it's like it's not like they don't have chemistry, like they do, but like it's
But
just
it really feels like they have not seen each other in a really long time. Like you can tell that they
yeah,
just do not know how to interact with each
like at all, and it's actually really good.
other. And then Jacob and Billy show up and enter long hair weave Taylor Lautner.
Taylor Lautner with his like long ass hair weave. I love it. I just, oh my god,
I
little
feel
shark.
like it's a weave because
It
I don't
has
know
to
what
be.
the wig budget is, but like the wigs in Game of Thrones a lot of the time look worse than this. So I'm like, I feel like that's like his natural hairline is what I'm getting at.
Oh
I
my
think
god.
he has extensions.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised honestly because who? I mean, like some people keep their hair that long, but like
I
most
don't
people
think he did
don't.
though. I don't think he did.
Yeah. Oh gosh, he's like such a little. Oh my god, they're all such babies in this movie.
I know you're so used to seeing them, I guess now or like in more recent things. Like I know that there's a new Robert Pattinson movie coming out soon. I don't remember what it's called. It has a number in it. But anyway, he just looks like older, obviously, because it's been like 20 years or 15 years or something.
10, 15 years, something crazy. Yeah, it's like watching the first Harry Potter movies. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's like they all look great still, but it's like you just kind of forget what they looked like back then.
ah.
I thought this was cute that Charlie and Billy were like dancing in the background while Bella and Jacob were talking.
I actually think that one of the best things about this whole movie to me is like all of the kind of like side character interactions.
I think so too.
Yeah, Billy and Charlie like are such like weird, awkward like dad characters. Like they've got such like fun energy and like eventually when we meet like Eric and Mike like at the school, like they're just like fucking clowning around in the background like the entire movie. It is really funny.
Jacob and Bella are just talking about the car, and he like rebuilt the engine or something, and you pointed out that like his car knowledge is much more in the movies because I guess they wanted to make him more involved with Bella immediately.
Yeah, they make him like an expert. And like I think he was just kind of just like learning how to do the cars like in the book. But like in this he's like, "Yeah, I rebuilt the engine for you, Bella." Like,
Just very casually. Okay, the next day Bella's at school. Eric is the first one to say hi to Bella.
my god, I love Eric. I'm so sorry. I just have to interject here that the actor that plays Eric is so cute to me. Like
He is really
I
cute.
love him and his like little goofy personality like is just like this cutest high school boy. I love him so much. I would have had the biggest crush on him in high school and he probably wouldn't have even known that I existed and I would have just loved him so much. It would have been a whole thing. Oh my
you
god.
you would have needed a Bella to convince you to ask him to prom,
Exactly.
like just like Angela. That's what would have had to happen.
Yeah, sadly that was not in my card. Although I did have like a weird Twilight adjacent high school romance of some sort.
Oh my.
But we'll save that story for later. The lore.
We may revisit this one day.
One day.
I did like Bella's outfit for her first day of school. Some of her outfits are a little questionable, but I felt like I would wear this one. It was just like a long sleeve gray shirt with like a green bowling shirt over it. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a vibe. It was very like hot girl, but like too cool for you vibe.
Yeah, the bowling shirt is very you coded.
hmm They play volleyball and
Bella like is so freaking clumsy and just like it's like I told you not to let me play. Like I don't know. I feel like they don't play up the clumsiness as much in the movie, but they do talk about it constantly.
yeah, they tried to add it, but yeah, it's not nearly as much. Something else I thought was funny was like while they're playing volleyball and it opens, we were watching it with the audio description on, and it describes Bella as looking pale and nervous while she's playing. And I was just like cracking up that they like had to include how pale she's looking.
Sometimes the audio description really does just give you like little gems of there was something else like later. I hope you made a note of it.
That was also how I noticed the cactus. I fully like didn't like visually see that she was holding a cactus, but it was like Bella gets out of the car holding a cactus, and I was like, "What? You have a cactus? What is going on?"
Yeah, yeah, it's really good for sometimes like those little details.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. So this is also where she meets Mike and Jessica here, right? And Jessica's like, "Wow, you're like really pale," and she's like, "Yep, that must have been
Oh,
why they kicked me out of Arizona."
Arizona, yeah, yeah. And Jessica, of course, is Anna Kendrick from she's like in a lot of other stuff, but I think she's in Pitch Perfect. I honestly don't know too much off the top of my head, but that is Anna Kendrick. I am sure of that.
I recognize that name, and
Yes.
that is all because I'm terrible with actors.
Haha. But we know famous people. We are plugged into the pop culture.
I am vaguely aware of actor name. So then they go into the cafeteria and the boys are fighting over Bella. They're like fighting over who wants to like sit next to her. One of them like pulls out a chair from under the other one and they start like sprinting out of the cafeteria. And then Angela and Jessica kind of start surrounding Bella and they're talking. And Jessica tells Bella that she's like the shiny new toy in kindergarten to the boys.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely you can tell that Jessica slash Anna Kendrick has like a little bit of like a jealousy thing where she's like, well, nobody ever like makes a big deal over me. Like it's just because you're the shiny new toy.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know. That is true to Jessica's character. She is kind of a bitch, but I think that they tone it down more quickly. Like they make her really bitchy in the beginning, and then I feel like they just kind of forget about it.
and then they're kind of friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So then Bella looks and through the window of the cafeteria, she sees the Cullens walking up and then they enter.
And it's like a moment they like she like looks at them, they're all like paired up, like all beautiful wearing designer clothes. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure they're all wearing designer clothes.
They
Like,
all look very nice. They're all looking very perfect and pale. And Edward is the last one to enter. I think this is what you were talking about, the line that you hoped I saved. It described Edward as a tall, pale boy with high cheekbones and dark eyes as he
yeah,
enters.
dark, intense eyes.
Oh,
Yes,
is that
I
what it was?
remember. Yeah, I remember it being intense eyes. And I'm like, I'm going to describe him like that from now on. I just like the cheekbones thing really got me.
That's straight out of a fan fiction. 100%.
Oh my God, it is. Like, I have read that line before.
I think we've all read that line. I don't think anyone listening to this hasn't read a Twilight fanfic. I'm gonna go out on a whim and make that assumption.
I'm gonna go ahead and assume that that's fair to say about all of the little goblins that we have listening
That is a
to us.
100% true statistic. There is no way you are listening to a Twilight movie podcast in 2024 and you have not read a Twilight fanfiction. Don't lie to me.
Don't lie. Oh, beautiful.
So then they go to biology, and Bella walks in with her hair blowing in slow motion from a fan in the corner. And I don't know if you guys remember that song by The Lonely Island, the Jizzed in My Pants song, but it's that. It's like that face that Edward makes, and every time I see it, I think of that stupid song still.
Yeah, he like puts his hand over his nose. He like looks so fucking uncomf, uncomf, and like I don't know. The audio description described his eyes as brooding, and I'm like, that is not what he looks like. He looks like he has to take a
It's
shit.
fully the jizzed in my pants face. Like that is 100% what it is. And then if you like see what he's thinking about in the books, it's like, yep, that's it.
That's it. That's pretty much it. It's like, jizzed in my pants slash I'm just gonna kill every fucking human in this room and rip out her throat.
Edward literally has a murder boner.
That's
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
my type of man.
that's my type of. Oh my god, that's so good. If you're not a senior citizen like us, please go look up that video when you're done listening to
Please,
this.
please,
It'll change your life.
please. It's worth it. I swear to God.
I'm pretty sure it's in like 120p or something on YouTube. Though. It was posted so long ago.
It was definitely like prior to 2010. Like that was like 2007, maybe.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that scene is like 1 second, and then Bella's in the office and catches Edward trying to switch classes, and he just like runs away.
He's like, I'll just have to endure it. And she's just like, oh, we forgot to mention the part in the biology lab where she sits down next to him, like reacting like that, and she like sniffs her own hair. She's just
Oh
like
yeah,
that part always makes me laugh.
me too. Then we quickly swap to Bella having dinner with Charlie at the diner, and she just meets some of her dad's old friends. And I guess they're just reinforcing that Bella hasn't been here in a while because they're like, oh, we haven't seen you since you were like 4 or whatever.
Yeah, you like cake. Like, and Bella's like, I liked cake when I was like 8.
Yeah, I think her dad, or I think the guy's like, oh, do you remember when I played Santa? And Charlie was like, last time she saw Santa, she was 4. And he was like, well, I must have left an impression, maybe, or something like that.
And then she says, butt crack Santa.
Then we're swapping to at home. Bella calls her mom, and her mom is asking her about boys. And she's thinking about Edward.
Being evasive. She's just like, I have homework. I gotta go. I don't want to talk to you about this.
And the next day, Bella plans to confront Edward about what the hell his problem is, and he doesn't come to school.
Nope.
And then we get another hunting flash of there's just a man at a construction site. There's some figures following him, and he gets murdered.
Murked.
Then Bella's leaving her house. She falls down on some ice. I think this is like the only true fall scene we have. I think
Yeah.
the rest of it's just her like discussing that she's clumsy or like, oh, I shouldn't be trusted to play volleyball because I might fall down.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think that this is like the only time she actually like falls in the movie. She doesn't even, I mean, I'll discuss it when we get there, but she doesn't even fall when she gets hit by the car.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. I'm not going to go off about that right now. We're going to get to that. It's mentioned here. This is a very small detail, but Charlie put new tires on her car instead of snow chains, which made the connection in my brain to realize that it is not winter. It's not snowing. We don't get a snowball fight. None of that. It's just like not winter. It's probably like fall or something.
Yeah, it's really rainy. It's probably like fall. So it's like I think that they like changed the timeline. I think they stretched it out a little bit more because like all of this was still supposed to be happening like in the winter, but if they stretched it or then maybe they compressed it. They just
I think
moved
they
it.
just moved it. I think they just like shifted it. Yeah. Next day, I think one of the days. It's Bella's at school in biology. Edward's there. That's what happens.
I think that there's like actually like quite a bit of time passing like between some of the scenes that we're seeing. So it's kind of hard to like pinpoint whether it's like next day or like, next week, but it's like next scene that we're in.
Yeah. The next time we see Bella in biology, Edward's back and he speaks to her for the first time. And their teacher talks about them winning a golden onion, and the students boo him. And that just made me laugh. I was like, okay, that guy probably would have been the cool teacher
Yeah,
in high school.
the science classes are actually kind of like very reminiscent of actual high school. Like they really do a good job with like all the background stuff.
I think so too. Like, I think a lot of the like banter and stuff, like you said, from the background characters, like it feels very like I'm in high school. I think they did a good job making
Yeah.
it seem like these are actual teenagers just chilling at school,
Just
basically.
like doing dumb stuff, fucking around with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't make them too like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the time they make teenagers really like,
Well, I'm having sex with you, like hypersexual. Yeah, like not that like teenagers aren't having sex, but like in a lot of movies and TV shows, it seems like every teenager on screen you see is actively having sex, and that's just not really the experience at like a high school.
no, these kids just seemed like they were being like wacky, silly kids, which I feel like is probably what's happening a lot of the time at school. Like it's not like very intense a lot of the time. It's just like you dicking off with your friend.
Exactly. Like I'm not arguing that sometimes that energy is there, but a lot of times it's just dicking off, like you said.
Exactly. So then Edward and Bella are doing their biology lab together and they're sort of challenging each other's biology knowledge before Edward asks why she moved and she just essentially tells him the backstory.
Like, "Oh, I'm a perfect child, blah blah blah," and he just like is like looking at her. He's starting to get a little like he's like staring at her a bit more.
And then in the hallway, they continue their conversation. And I just wanted to point out when he was looking at the microscope, it like zoomed in on his hand, like moving it. And I was like, is he wearing a wristband?
Like, remember that was like very 2009
It's called Style.
style. Don't you have it? Like, but no, like, yeah. Imagine that's just literally a piece of fabric that he just had to tug onto his wrist, and that is its entire purpose. Like, I don't know.
Just something about Edward Cullen taking the time out of his day to put on a wristband tickles me, which I guess he never sleeps. He has more time than the average person to put on a wristband.
To think about accessorizing. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. I just don't picture Edward Cullen as an accessorizing kind of guy. So the fact that he wasn't just like wearing like a chain necklace or something, he was fully wearing like a wristband with some kind of emblem on it, which not thinking back now, I'm like, I should have paused and like seen what it was, but oh well.
Who knows? It's probably like Element or something.
Probably. Oh my god, remember Element? Holy shit.
Yes.
So then Bella notices his eyes are changing and he says, it's the fluorescence.
It's the that's one of the like kind of banter moments that he has. He has so many like responses when she calls him out on stuff that are just so fucking funny to me.
I think that might be my favorite line in the whole movie.
It's the fluorescence. He's like pinching his eyes shut. Top tier.
I think about that all the time. Like anytime I'm somewhere with fluorescent lighting and I have to like look in a mirror and see how like disheveled looking I am, I'm like, it's the fluorescence.
Yeah. Oh.
So in the parking lot later, Edward's staring at Bella And this is the scene where the car swerves, almost hits her. Edward is suddenly there, puts out his hand, stops the car, and I wanted to point out that he stopped the car with his hand and not his shoulders, first of all. That was all, and I think you had some points to make about this
Yeah,
as
the
well.
whole thing in the book, it's like she falls. Like he like pushes her out of the way and she smacks her head on the ground. And so it makes sense that he's like, "Oh, you hit your head. You didn't see the fact that I was like across the parking lot. You hit your head. You just don't remember correctly." Like the gaslighting made like a little bit of sense, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it was actual gaslighting in the book, whereas here he's just straight up like lying to her. Cause like he stops the car and she's just like crouched down and he's leaning over her. They
Yeah.
lock eyes for like 3 to 5 seconds, like full seconds.
She doesn't fall. She doesn't hit her head.
No, there's no falling. Like there's no they even when they go to the hospital later, Carlisle's gonna say there's no head injury or anything. So he specifically is like, she is fine. And then Edward like walks away and then everyone starts running up to Bella. But they fully like saw each other and like had an eye lock moment.
She didn't even get jostled. Like,
No. No, there was none of that because Edward did not push her, nothing. He just like got in front of her between the cars.
and stopped the thing with his hand. Yeah, no, it's not the way it's supposed to happen. It like whatever. Like I don't usually like get so mad about it, but like honestly, literally, like a scene or two later, she like Edward is going to full on look at her and be like, "You hit your head." No, she fucking did not. She did not hit her head.
Before, like, it was a gaslighting thing because it's like, okay, he's trying to convince her that she's crazy and she's gonna be like, oh right, I did hit my head, maybe I don't remember, but he's fully just like telling her something happened that didn't, which I guess maybe is a little bit better because you can tell it's just him trying to brush it off instead of him being like actually manipulative.
I mean, like, I mean, this is worse to me.
You think?
Yeah.
I think the other one's worse. I think this is just him like being like, I don't want to talk about this and like walking away. But before he was fully trying to convince her that she was nuts.
I mean, that okay, so that in looking at it that way, you are correct there. But also, like, just like I was just thinking that, like, in the other situation, she did hit her head. Like, she could be confused. Like, realistically, she could just have a shit ton of head trauma and hallucinate something. Like she didn't,
Yeah.
but she could have. In this situation, she just full on didn't. He's just like, you hit you. She did not hit her head.
I know that is something we talked about before that we were like, if he's so fast, why couldn't he stop her from hitting her head?
Yeah.
So she didn't hit her head this time.
No, she didn't. I mean, they're gonna like say she did, but you're right. Even Carlisle is like, there's no head trauma. Like, okay, whatever. We're getting there in like a second, but like, oh god.
No, that's literally the next thing that happens is they're in the hospital and like Carla enters and he's like, there's no signs of head trauma. You're fine. And then the very next thing that happens is Bella catching the Cullens whispering about her in the hallway. And then Edward's like, you hit your head. Because she's like, how did you save me? You were over there. And he just like brushes her off basically.
He's like, she fully just literally didn't. Like, that is like a plot hole. Like, they should have fixed that because they could have just pushed her over, like, or something.
I feel like they just tried to make it is him like not wanting to talk about it and brush it off so they can just like move on. Like they're not trying to go super in depth about it. I don't really see it as like a plot hole.
Okay, well, that's fine. I just like, I don't know. I'm just like in the book, she hit her head.
Next thing that happens is Edward watching Bella in her room. He's fully just in the room and she wakes up and then he's gone. And she's like, that was the first time I dreamed about Edward. But was she dreaming or did she just see him in the room?
Or did she just, yeah, no, that's a really valid point because he was fully like right there and she like kind of is like half asleep and then she like wakes up fully and he's gone. But like she didn't have to be dreaming.
Edward Cullen is her sleep paralysis demon.
Edward Cullen is my sleep paralysis demon. He's already WD-40'd her window and he be up in her room.
Oh my god. We're gonna have to read Midnight Sun at some point, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we legitimately are. The more we're getting into this,
Oh no.
I think that we like are going to have to fucking bite the bullet, take one for the team, and do it for the content.
I've convinced at least 2 people to read that entire book just based on that WD-40 scene.
Like we're gonna have to do it for the gram, Gio. We're gonna have to do it for the gram.
Yep, we're just gonna have to do
Well, our future pain aside, let us
it.
continue.
Then Mike and not Tyler, I didn't even catch this, but Nicole pointed it out that they fused Mike and Tyler into one person.
And now he's just Mike, yeah, but he is literally like both characters. Like this whole like prom thing is like that's Tyler in the book.
Yeah, I can see why they did that though, because they kind of served the same purpose, which was just like we need guys to like Bella and to make like 1% of rivalry between Edward and anyone else. And I don't think we needed to waste more screen time on a Tyler, personally.
I mean, you're probably right. You're probably right. I just like it's just amusing.
Oh, I definitely think it's amusing because wasn't there 2 dances in the book too? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they just made it prom in this one. One guy, one dance, done.
it's only prom.
So Eddie's listening to them while Mike's asking her to prom, and she's like, "Nope, I'm going to Jacksonville, not Seattle." And I don't even think she actually goes. I think she just fully lies. Whereas
Yeah,
before she was like, "I'm gonna go to Seattle, haha," and then like actually made a plan to go.
and actually goes. Yeah, no, I think she's just like I'm going to Jacksonville, which is like honestly like a much bigger lie because it involves flying all the way across the country.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that they just didn't want to like include a scene where they had to explain why Bella went to Seattle because it just would have felt really random. Like if you had no context and she's like, "I'm going to Seattle," you'd be like, "But why?"
But why? Yeah, valid, valid.
Yeah, but I don't know. She could have said she was going. She's gonna just said like, "Oh, I'm going to Seattle with my dad." I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
She literally the reason that she goes in the book is because she wants to go to like a bookstore.
Oh yeah, I remember. I'm just thinking like if it would have made sense in any sort of way to include Seattle, but I think it would just like make the movie even longer than it is and add nothing. So
Probably.
and then if we didn't have that, then in the greenhouse in the next scene, Edward would not be able to ask Bella what's in Jacksonville, and then she wouldn't be able to segue into telling him about her mom and stuff. So
That's true. We did need this. Oh, wait. Did we miss the like one of my favorite lines in the entire movie actually is like when Bella asks Edward how he saved her, like when she comes back to school, and he says, I had an adrenaline rush. It's very common and you can Google it.
I love that so much.
It's like my favorite
Yeah, Bella just fully changed the subject about what's in Jacksonville to
fucking
that.
line. Yeah. He's just like, it's very common. You can Google it.
And then right after that, Jessica comes in and she's like, Mike asked me to prom. So her and Bella are friends now, basically. Like now that Jessica has the guy, she's not bitchy to Bella anymore. The end. Edward's just being really broody, so him and Bella are walking outside, and she's like, "You should have just let the van crush me, and like we could have saved ourselves this regret." And he's like, "Do you regret?"
Do you think that I regret saving you? Yeah, like he's very affronted. She's just like, I know that you do. I fucking love.
And then Alice enters. She has one very small line. She just asks Bella if they're riding with them, and she doesn't. But this is our first Alice line, which is very important.
Alice! Alice!
That's my meet cute of the movie. I don't know about you.
Bella and Alice. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. The ship to end all ships. She's so cute. I love Alice. I love the actress that plays Alice. She's always looks so cute in whatever she's wearing.
She really does. I believe this is the next day, possibly later that same day. I don't remember, but Edward's looking agitated in the cafeteria, and Bella's friends invite her to La Push. So our plot is rolling along.
Push. It's La Push. You want to come to La Push? It's like that's the joke. That's what I think it's Mike or Eric. I think maybe it's Eric, and he just keeps going La Push.
Yeah. And then at some point during the scene, Bella gets up for something, and Edward, like an apple, rolls upward from the floor into his hand. And Bella's like, "Your mood swings are giving me whiplash," which same.
How did he do that? Is it witchcraft? I didn't think that he had, like, telekinesis. I thought he could just read minds.
Yeah, I don't think they ever explain it.
How he just, like, summoned that apple to him.
Yeah, I really don't think that they explain it. I think it just happens. They just wanted to throw in something supernatural, I guess, but it's like so random.
But, like, why? Yeah, like, it's like, what? Are vampires, like, fruit magnetic?
Oh, this is another instance of Bella wearing an ugly outfit. She's wearing like this blue blouse with like embroidered flowers on the ends of the sleeves and like down the front. I don't know. This looked like something my grandma would wear.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like, my mother would wear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just like this is like not a vibe, but go off, I guess.
Not it, Bella, not it.
I was surprised too that this right now is when they have the superhero conversation where she's like, I've considered radioactive spiders or whatever. I think the movie is like doing a good job keeping up with the book so far, but I was like, holy shit, does like watching this as a movie make it seem even more accelerated than it already did?
Yeah. Yeah, and then also it's like, I think that this is where I thought, because in the book, the line is, "What if I'm not one of the good guys? What if I'm the villain?" And I think it's in the movie here why I got confused and thought it was bad guys. Like, I'm the bad guy. That's what Edward says here in the movie. Just a callback to a flub I made in the other podcast.
Which you should go watch. That's your homework. That and the Jizz My Pants video. Next scene, we're at La Push. Everyone's got surfboards and stuff. I do not think that they were surfing before.
No, they definitely weren't going to surf. They were going to, like, burn shit on the beach. But, like, they even say, like, how cold it is. And I think I made this point, like, in the other podcast, like, this is an awful time to go to the beach.
You did point that out, but they had a bonfire before. So it at least made a little bit of sense. They were like, let's go and be warm by our bonfire.
Yeah, let's go and burn shit on the beach.
But nope, they're surfing. They are surfing, and
Okay.
this is when we find out that Angela likes Eric. And I think this is also when Bella convinces.
I like Eric too, Angela.
This is when Bella convinces Angela to ask Eric to prom.
I would ask Eric to prom. I would go to prom every day with that boy. He's so cute. Like, I love his little, like, haircut. Just like the little nerdy boy really does it for me. I have weird taste.
And then Jessica makes fun of Bella for inviting Edward. And then that's when, Jacob and his friends enter at some point during this. And they're like, the Cullens don't come here. And then suddenly Bella and Jacob are walking on the beach. And I thought this was just such a strange thing to say because we literally get that. Then they're walking on the beach. And the first thing Bella says is, what did you mean by the Cullens don't come here? And Jacob's like, haha, you caught that, huh? And it's like you just had a conversation about it in front of everybody. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, yeah, it is weird. And then also, like, I like, this scene is way better handled, I think, in the movie than in the book, because they don't make Bella, like, awkwardly flirt with Jacob, which I really hate the way that she, like, purposefully, like, tries to use her feminine wiles on him or whatever the heck she's doing in the book. Is I just, like, lose a lot of, like, respect for her as a person. I really like this a lot better where it's just Bella and Jacob, like, talking like they're friends, because they do actually have chemistry. So, like, I think that, like, their connection is gonna grow out of them just, like, having natural chemistry together instead of, like, Bella basically, like, flirting with him to get information, which then, like, makes Jacob like her.
Yeah, I agree with that because we're probably, I'm guessing, in the movie, we're going to get more like, oh, they're friends and it developed into romantic feelings instead of Bella, like, making the conscious decision to intentionally manipulate him by flirting.
Exactly, exactly. It just, like, it's just Bella is a nicer person in the movie, which I like.
I haven't seen all the movies, but I wonder if, like, the Edward
Girl,
Jake.
me neither.
I wonder if the
Oh, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good watching all of these, like, together. I didn't realize that you hadn't seen them all either. I've only seen the 1st and 2nd one.
Oh, yeah, no, I've only also seen the 1st and 2nd one.
Alright.
I'm wondering if it's gonna be more unclear if she's gonna pick Edward or Jacob, because in the book, I'm like, it was never Jacob. Like, where was even the discourse about it potentially being Jacob?
You're absolutely fucking right. Like, I remember, like, during when this was happening, guys, like, when Twilight
We
was
were there.
coming out and we were there. Yeah. When this was happening, everybody was suddenly like, Jacob or Edward. I'm like, what are y'all talking about?
It literally was never Jacob.
Like, literally, what are you talking about? It's never been Jacob.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering if maybe because already we're getting a little like, oh, like we see that they're friends, and like we don't really know how everyone's relationship is developing yet because we're not getting any internal monologue. So I'm just wondering, like, I wonder if it's going to be as obvious or no.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out.
And this is where Jacob tells Bella the story about his ancestors and stuff, but he doesn't make it like a weird secret. He's like, "Oh, there's like this story," and then just like tells it to her. So she
Yeah,
doesn't like need to even flirt with him to like pull information out of him. I just agree that I think this scene was handled a little better. I think it makes both of them look better because, like we mentioned, Bella's not being a manipulative jerk, and then Jacob isn't just like spilling his family's deep dark secrets to someone who batted her eyelashes at him a couple of times.
yeah, exactly.
Then we're going to get another scene of just a man on a boat on a dock being hunted, and then this is the first glimpse we get of the Volturi.
Or no, these aren't the Volturi.
Which ones are these?
These are just the bad vampires. Like, this is the first time that we see the bad vampires of the book. We see them, like, and not just like weird, like, flashes when they've been like hunting the other. I think at the beginning of the movie, when it was like the deer that was being hunted, I think that was one of the Cullens because it was a deer. But I think like the other flashes,
That's what I assume.
yeah, I think the other flashes that we've been getting have been like these bad vampires hunting like people around the town. Because there's been flashes and like Charlie's been alerted, like, because he's like the chief of police and stuff. So, like,
Yeah, so we actually get a full look at them. I think they even get a few lines. I'm pretty sure that James stole that man's jacket because he had no shirt on, complimented the guy's jacket, and then the next time we see him,
it's like, nice jacket.
yeah, the next time we see him, he's gonna have a jacket. I think there's easier ways to get a jacket, but what do I know?
Well, yeah.
Then at home, Bella is Googling legends of like Jacob's.
Quileute legend.
Yeah, that's what yeah. So from Jacob's story, she's Googling it and she finds a bookstore that has a book on it in Port Angeles. And then coincidentally, the next day at school, Angela's like, I asked Eric to prom and we're going to prom together. And then her and Jessica are like, we should go dress shopping in Port Angeles. And then they all go to Port Angeles.
I was like, can I come? And they're like, oh, you want to come with us to a thing? Sure. Like,
Mhm. So they all go and they try on dresses. And Bella's like, this is stupid. I want to go to the bookstore. So she leaves and she goes to a bookstore and gets her book. And then she starts walking down a very dark alley by herself. And surprise, surprise.
very dark alley in this very small town. Like, I doubt that this very, very tiny Washington town is this seedy, but like, whatever. Also, like, I really doubt it because actually, like, at the beginning of the movie, she said that Forks has like less than 4,000 people. Like, it was like 3,400 something. And so, like, this Port Angeles is probably half that. How seedy can it possibly be? But what do I know?
There's at least 4 seedy guys that end up surrounding her.
At least these 4 rapists that live here.
Yep. And then Bella kicks one of them between the legs just in time for Edward to speed in on his shiny Volvo.
And he's like, get in the car, like, very aggressively.
So she gets in the car and they drive away. And Edward's like, you have to distract me so I don't turn around. And you know what? When he said that, I was like, you know what? I think that this is how they cast him as Batman. I think that if he showed them this scene, they were like, all right, you can be Batman.
Yeah. And then also, like, he's good at, like, doing the, like, grrr,
Yeah, he like had the Gurr voice. He was like speeding around in the car. I think that they were like, "Are you sure you can be Batman?" And he played that scene.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, we believe you."
All right, we believe you. Man, we need to watch that. Then we think that we might use the Robert Pattinson Batman franchise to bring the DC universe within the greater Twilight extended universe. But we shall see.
I think that they're connected. I think we could connect them and then we can just fully be unhinged about
Fully be
DC.
unhinged about everything. Because superheroes, guys.
Mhm.
We love
I
superheroes.
like me some
Especially
superheroes.
Teen Titans.
Yeah, Teen Titans is the best.
Okay. Anyways, let us not get completely derailed because Dick Grayson. That is all.
Did great. Yeah, I was about to say that is all. Oh. All right, so then Bella and Edward make it to the bloated toad. I liked this scene better
The
too.
Bloated Toad is a great name for a restaurant.
That's what they call the rest. I love it.
Great name.
Jessica and Angela are coming out of the restaurant. They see Bella and they're like super worried about her, and they like left her messages, and they're actually concerned for her safety. They're not just
Yeah.
like. I remember this pissed me off that Jessica. I think the book said she was like surprised and relieved that she got home, if I remember correctly. And I was like, "What do you mean you're surprised? You just fully went home without her?"
Yes, there's absolutely no way that she should have been left there if, like, you're surprised she got home safe.
And they left her messages, which implies that they have cell phones. In the book, I don't think that there was any cell phones.
No, they definitely didn't have cell phones. So it's like, it's definitely better handled here because Jessica and Angela are like, oh my God, where were you? We were worried, blah, blah, blah. And like, they fully in the book were just like, oh, well, we went and ate, but like, we're glad you're okay, I guess. Like,
Yeah, it was so weird. So I'm glad. I guess in the other one they couldn't have like called her, but she could have been like, "Oh, we were asking like the shopkeepers if anyone had seen you. We were asking around. We were so worried." But she,
we're looking
yeah,
for
yeah, thank you. Like they could have looked. I don't think they looked at all. I think they were like, "Huh, that's weird," and then went home.
yeah.
So in the restaurant, Bella gets her mushroom ravioli, and Edward's like, "I'm on a special diet," which I thought was really funny. I loved that, which isn't even a lie. I'm like, that's actually just true.
Yeah.
Bella's like, "Did you follow me? How'd you know where I was?" And Edward doesn't say yes, but then he's like, "Well, I had to make sure that you were safe, you know?"
Like, I've only been following you like a little bit. Like, only to make sure you're okay.
And then he's like, just talking about how she should have heard what those low lifes were thinking. And I'm like, Edward, Bella is a woman. She knows.
She knows.
Like, she doesn't need you and your mind reading powers to tell her that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But she does that. Like, what's the first time that he lets it slip? And she's like, oh, so you read minds?
And then he says, yes, I can read every mind in this room apart from yours.
Bella's such a special snowflake.
Mm-hmm. And then he's saying he doesn't have the strength to stay away from her and just being very dramatic. And in the car, they both reach for something and their hands bump. And she's like, oh my God, his hand is so cold. And they drive by the police station and all these cop cars are around. And she realizes that her dad's still there. So they stop. And
This is like another scene that's not in the book at all.
that's true. That's true. We didn't get any of these like random murders, I don't think, did we?
No, nothing about this
Nothing.
is happening. I think maybe Charlie one time was like, there were some hikers killed up at this place.
Yeah, but it was very like it was not integrated into the storyline at all, really.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're right, that is completely changed. And Carlisle exits the building and he examined the body and he's like, go comfort your dad. And it's like some random guy that her dad knew for 30 years. I'm calling him random because we saw one scene of him going, before he died. And that was it. And Charlie gives her some pepper spray. And I fully thought he was going to just take out a gun and give it to her.
Yeah, it would be a little bit more America.
I was disappointed. And I feel like in like the foresty north, like it's like those people actually have a reason to have a gun. Like a lot of people hunt or like there's a lot of bears and shit. I'm like, y'all are part of the select few that might actually need a gun for something.
Like, actually need one, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's not like they do live in like a town, but still, I don't know. I feel like if there's that much forest around, I could see it being more normalized there. But anyway, that's not what happens. She gets pepper spray, which is going to come back later.
In a great way.
And then at home, Bella's Googling cold ones and she has more dreams about Eddie. Then we're at school and Bella's walking in slow motion past Edward and they don't speak, but they look at each other and then they just slowly walk behind the school into the forest, I guess.
Oh, yeah. This is like such a weird choice, honestly. They condense like so many kind of like scenes that happen like into like this one thing where they just like look at each other and then they decide to go behind the school and like have this whole like discussion confrontation. This never happened. But something that is really funny is this is the scene that made you think, because I think when we were listening to the book, you were like, wait, aren't they supposed to be in the forest? Like when they're talking about the whole vampire thing? Because like in the book, they're in a car. And you're like, aren't they in a tree when they're talking about?
Yeah, I think that like they talk about it on the way back from the restaurant, right?
Yeah, or like, yeah, or maybe on the way to Seattle in the
Maybe
truck.
that's what it is. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, I thought that the book was going to be like the movie essentially. And then there's parts of this where he like he climbs into a tree at one point just to like
Oh, this is coming up. This is coming up. Let's give this one moment.
okay. Oh, I wanted to point out before we get there that Bella is wearing like her iconic blue jacket that I have a replica of.
Yes,
It's an officially licensed replica. It's not like an AliExpress cosplay outfit. But that makes me very happy.
I fucking love that.
Me too.
I love that you have that. That's amazing.
Me too. I just had to brag. Anyway, it's actually amazing that I still have it because I was gifted it by my aunt when I was like when the movie was popular, obviously. That's why she found it in a store. And I like didn't like Twilight. It just kind of felt like something I should keep. Like I just this feeling that I needed it.
Yeah, like I was gonna say it so far before we were into this the way we are now.
Like years before. So now it's a permanent part of my wardrobe and I'm never getting rid of it.
Yeah.
I tried to wear it out just very casually a few weeks ago and my boyfriend was like, "Well, you didn't have to dress all fancy. Like we're not going anywhere that night." Which
Oh,
just cracked me up because I was like, "Oh, you think Bella's jacket is very fancy?
this is my Twilight jacket.
This is my Twilight jacket." So, this is the how long have you been 17 part.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, they're like, this is yeah. So they go back behind the school, and like it's the whole thing. Like Bella's just like, you're cold, you can't go in the sun, you're like whatever, whatever, all doe like and scared. And she's like, how long have you been 17? Like a while.
And then suddenly he's like, "You need to see what I look at like in the sunlight," and just fucking grabs her and sprints through the woods and finds like one random sunbeam coming through the trees.
It's just singular one sunbeam.
Yeah, just one. And she's like, "You're beautiful." And,
And
and
he's
he's
like,
like, "This is the
the
skin of
skin
a
of a
killer."
killer. That okay, that might be the best line in the movie. It's like a toss
So
up
good.
between like you can Google it and this is the skin of a killer.
And then right after that, he's like, "As if you could outrun me. I'm designed to kill."
And he's like, this is the part where you were talking about where you just like tossing like trees around and he like climbs up into a tree to be like, you are the what does he say? Did you write it down?
Oh, he says, "Your scent is like a drug to me, my own personal brand of heroin." Like, but he climbs into a tree and like looks down at her to tell her that. And I'm like, "Why are you in a tree? What are you
Like
doing up there?"
in the branches of a tree, just like your blood is like a drug to me. Like the way he says it is so intense. Like I am fucking obsessed.
I remember in the podcast we had mentioned that vampires were adjacent to cats because you let them out and they just like kill the wildlife. when he says he's designed to kill, cats are also described that way. That like
You're
if you
right.
designed like the most efficient predator, it's like a cat.
Yeah.
I think vampires might be cats, essentially.
Vampires are cats. They're terrible for the local ecosystem. They're like you gotta bell them.
You got a bell.
Yeah.
Oh my god, someone put a bell collar on Edward, please.
Please.
They Captain So the lion fell in love with the lamb. Also, he's referring to himself as a feline immediately after we talk about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence here that
Edward's whole thing is that he like his favorite food is mountain lion.
I'm just saying, favorite cat.
You're making connection.
The very next scene is the meadow, which they literally this whole scene, I don't
It's like they combined it. It's really weird.
it's really weird. I felt like they should have put the sparkliness in the meadow. The entire meadow scene is them lying down and looking at each other, and the camera circles them a few times before panning above them and looking down at them. That's it. That's the scene. And I was like, is this scene? I don't know. I remember it being really iconic.
It's like very, very pivotal in the books. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just shocked that they like I don't know. I felt like when he ran to the sunbeam, maybe he should have ran to the meadow, which could have maybe been close to where they were.
And then like had a more like intense interaction in the meadow, because the meadow is like such an iconic and like romantic scene, like air quotes, heavy air quotes, but like yeah, it just felt like it was handled a bit weird because, like I said, it's like they literally are in school and they just like they're like we're gonna skip third period, I guess, and like go out into the forest behind the school to have this confrontation.
There's probably kids doing drugs back there.
Oh, 5,000%. That's where the kids doing heroin are.
That's how Edward knows.
That's how he knows. That's why he's in the tree. That's the drug tree.
The drug tree. Oh my god. All right, so we got to get out of the meadow. We got to move on. Okay. So Bella's at home thinking about how Edward's a vampire and how much she loves him. I'm pretty sure this is the scene where she's like, I was irrevocably in love with him or something.
Yeah, I was like undeniably, irrevocably in love with him. Something sappy. Teenage girl.
Then at school, Eric's handing out prom flyers, and Bella and Eddie arrive together. And Eddie is styling with these sunglasses on. I don't know why they gave him sunglasses for this scene, but I fucking love it. It was so funny.
Yeah. It's because Edward's cool.
He's just too cool. And then they're at the river, and Edward just very willingly gives Bella the backstory of.
Yeah. I kind of thought this is weird because, like, in the book, it very much, like, Bella talks a lot about how Edward is, like, very selective with the information he gives her. He does give her some information, but not a lot of information. Not information about turning and not information a lot. Well, he gives her some information about their past, but not, like, in depth, really.
And there's a lot of resistance.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, her dragging it out of him, and in this, he's just like, "Well, this is everything, and this is how you turn somebody," and, like, "I was born in 1901."
I get it. I get why they did it to move the movie along, because otherwise this would have been a 4-hour movie.
Exactly.
But it definitely changes their dynamic of their relationship.
It does, because it all feels very, like, rushed. Like, in the book, you're like, "Man, y'all have barely fucking known each other," but in the movie, it's like,
You have had 3 conversations total.
"Man, y'all really barely know each other." Yeah. And they're just staring at each other fucking cow-eyed the whole movie.
That's so fucking true. Then at home, Eddie jumps on the roof of Bella's truck and she's like, "Can you at least try to act human?" And then he like just very casually pulls out the dent from the accident in her truck.
Yeah, and also, like, that literally never happens. Like, he never does anything like that, like jumping on the roof and stuff. Like, that's like very.
Yeah, he's not silly.
He doesn't do silly, frivolous vampire things, guys. He's a serious, self-hating vampire.
Exactly. Edward would never even dream of being silly.
Or enjoying his powers.
He sees Jacob and Billy driving up, so he quickly gets in his car and goes to leave. And then they glare at each other as they drive by each other. And then Billy arrives with Jacob, and they're watching some sort of sports ball game.
Sports ball.
Sports ball! And then Jacob very casually also is like, "Oh, you got the dent fixed," which I just thought was really funny. I love that they added that little interaction in there.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
Then we finally make it to Edward's house, and the audio description described his house as an architect designed house, which fully went over my head. And then Nichole was like, "What? Wait a second. What did they call it?" And then I was like, "Yeah, I guess wouldn't every house be an architect designed house?"
Designed house? Yeah, it's like I guess I kind of get what they were going for. Like it was like a very like artistically styled house, but I was just like, I don't know, that's weird. Like just say it's like very open concept. I would have gotten the
Yeah.
same feel.
Or they could have said like upscale, like something. But
Yeah.
architect designed is just, I mean, it's true, but yeah, I think that that's every house. You need an
It's just
architect.
like a weird qualifier. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Edward's just talking about how this is the one place they don't have to hide, and the Cullens are cooking. And one of them, they're making some sort of Italian food, and one of them's like, "Is she even Italian?"
I think it's like Emmett and like it's like her name's Bella, isn't it? And like, then I think somebody the whole them cooking is like an added thing as well. But I think it's just like kind of showing that Esme really, really wants to make Bella comfortable. But then of course Bella ate already because she knows that they don't eat. And then like Rosalie's big mad.
Yep, she crushes a salad bowl because Bella already ate. And then Rosalie's like pissed at her basically for coming over and is like, "Oh, you're putting all of us in danger." And then Bella's like, "I would become the meal."
I would never do anything to hurt you guys. Yeah. But then Alice breaks the tension by like dancing in on a fucking tree branch. She literally is outside on a tree branch and then comes inside through the window from the tree branch.
They're like on the second floor. Yeah, like
Like,
the window's just open and then they just enter. Like her and Jasper both just enter from the balcony.
it's so good. It's so good. I love that. I love everything. Alice is just like the best character. She's so sweet. She's like a little dainty flower. She looks amazing in the
She
scene. She looks
does.
amazing always.
And she's like, "Bella and I are gonna be great friends," and you're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, you are. I'm gonna be great friends with you too. I love Alice.
hmm Then they're upstairs in Eddie's room, which is just like covered in books, and there's no bed, but there's
Like a
like,
chaise lounge.
yeah, one of those, and he's got some records, and then this is where they talk about music. Then I noticed right before it happened, I was like, "Why is there double doors on like the second or third floor at this point?" That just like no balcony, no stairs, nothing. There's just double doors and they're open.
Like out into the woods.
Like, yeah, and I was like, "That's strange because it's not a window, it's double doors." And then Edward just grabs her, jumps out the window, and is like, "Hold on tight, spider monkey." And I'm like, I fully just forgot about that entire thing.
I know that's absolutely something that they added in, but I kind of love the spider monkey line is just like iconic and cute, but like I fucking love that they just like live in the trees like fucking elves of like the fucking elves of Middle Earth. They just are living in the trees, like the elves of Lothlorien. Like,
I'm just thinking about their architect designed house and thinking, was that architect like, "Do y'all want some stairs here or something?" And they were like, "No, no, 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 no."
nah, 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 man. We are gonna like use the tree outside to move from level to level.
Oh my god. And then they go up to a very high treetop where they're just like talking. You can't hear anything they're saying, but they're like having a conversation and they're just like chilling up there on a tree. And I just want to say that Book Edward never would have taken Bella up a tree
No,
and just let her sit on a branch.
no, he would have expected her to fall. He would have absolutely expected her to fall.
Yeah. And then they go back to Eddie's house where he plays piano. And that's it. That was the whole Collins house. Then they're at the diner again, and as Bella's walking in, Mike's there. He's like, "You and Cullen? I don't like it. He looks at you like you're something to eat."
Har har. Big funny.
Yep, they had to get their little quip in there before Bella enters and sits with her dad. And I'm pretty sure Mike was like humping a tree outside of the window.
Like I said, like constant, like fun antics from the background characters.
Yeah, I'm like, that is some like just dumb shit that like a high school boy would do. That is like
And
very realistic high school boy behavior.
our high school friend Josh, 5,000% would have done that.
Yeah, he would have.
I could just see Josh doing that.
Josh, if you ever listen to this, hi.
Hi, we love
Hope you're doing good.
you.
All right, then Bella's at home. She calls her mom and she says she likes forks because there's a boy there, basically. Well, her mom is like, is it because of a boy? And Bella's like, well, yeah, basically.
Yes, yeah. She like realizes she can't just lie.
And then Edward suddenly appears on her bed. And
And she's like, "What the fuck? How'd you get here?" And he's like, "I've been coming in here for like months, basically." And she's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah,
he says, I like watching you sleep. And then they kiss.
yeah."
So she really doesn't mind.
This whole can of WD-40 on her window. He just comes in whenever he wants.
Yep. And she really does not mind because they kiss and she immediately forgets about it. I don't even think she addresses it really. She's just like, oh, okay.
They be making out.
And then he like flies across the room to like get away from her.
Yeah, because they get a little too hormonal with the making out. Like they go a little too far, and Edward's like, "I can never lose control with you."
But then they end up sitting on the bed and talking till she falls asleep. So
Cute.
I think this is the next day, another day. They're still in Bella's house, but Edward's not there. Charlie's cleaning his shotgun. And this is where he's like, I thought you didn't like any of the boys in town. And Bella's
Yeah,
like,
it's
Edward
like
doesn't live in town.
Yeah, it's like he's cleaning his shotgun and she just comes in and she's like, "I'm going on a date with Edward Cullen." And he's like, "What? Like who? I didn't think you liked any of the boys." And she's like, "Well, Edward Cullen doesn't live in town necessarily, but the whole thing is just him like cleaning his gun."
Yeah. Yep. Charlie got to be scary dad with gun. This is another reason why I think Charlie's the kind of dad that would give his daughter a gun.
Yeah.
Give Bella a gun.
Give Bella a gun. Oh God. I don't think she needs one, like really. But
Book Edward would not let Bella have a gun.
no, Book Edward would not let Bella have a gun.
My God, I'm just because Edward's like, I have to protect you. He just like gives her a gun. Okay,
Oh
no.
my God. This is becoming so unhinged.
All right, I digress. Edward enters and he introduces himself to Charlie and is very polite and is like, we're going to play baseball. And then they go and play vampire baseball.
Vampire baseball and the soundtrack be bumping. Like I said, this is Supermassive Black Hole by Muse, which is like a really good song. Like
Wow, you remember exactly what song was in this scene.
I really like this song. So,
And then as they're playing, we get our baddies entering, and Laurent like has the baseball and gives
oh
it to
yeah.
Carlisle and was like, we didn't realize the territory had been claimed. And then
And they're like, let's play. Like, let's all play. We can play. Let's play together. And like it's like Laurent and James and Victoria. And James has a shirt now. It's like presumably the shirt he stole from the other guy.
yeah, he is fully clothed now. And then I think it's James gets a whiff of the air and he's like, you brought a snack.
Absolutely, James. Yeah, like the wind blows as it does conveniently every time there's a vampire around Bella, and it just like moves her hair in James's direction. And he's like, "You brought a snack."
And then they all run to the Jeep. Well, not all of them, just some of them.
Bella, Emmett, and Edward, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. Well, I think does Emmett join them later? I remember him like jumping on the truck at some point, but was that right now?
Oh, I think maybe you're right. I think Emmett does join them later. It doesn't really matter either way.
It doesn't matter. Some of them go, and all that matters is that Bella and Edward are in the car, and Edward's like, I just made this his most exciting game ever. And it's just explaining how James is like a tracker and how he's gonna like try to find her.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you made the point while we were watching that like you were like when this all kind of started, when they showed up, Laurent, James, and Victoria showed up, you paused the movie and you were like, how long is left? and we were literally like an hour and a half in, which means that like both the movie and the book do this, where it's like they ram. This is like really ostensibly the only real actual thing that happens, other than Edward and Bella just fucking making cow eyes at each other.
Yeah, and I was like, "Are we really gonna fit all of this into the last 30 minutes?" And Nicole's like, "That's what they did in the book." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah, yeah, but I just like I thought that that was like a good observation because like you literally are like, how long is left? Like this.
Yeah, it just seemed like we had been watching a while for everything that's about to happen in the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, but here we go. We're sprinting towards the finish now, guys.
Yep, we're getting there. So we get our scene where Bella leaves Charlie for literally no reason.
It's like much easier, much like less traumatic, I think, in this like this whole thing like is just handled a lot better. It's calmer. She explains more to Charlie. It's not as like sudden and like unhinged. Cause like in the book, she barely fucking says anything to him. She barely even looks at him. Like she like at least like stops and has a conversation with him for a minute.
Yeah, she does. And she's not like she is a little mean towards the end, but like I don't know, she's kind of established that she's really upset and I think like it could be if Charlie like is reasonable, which it seems like he's being very reasonable in the scene, could be like, "Oh, she just said that because she was mad, like she'll calm down." Whereas in the book, she fully just like tells him to fuck off and like storms out.
Yeah.
And also, Charlie was being so reasonable. She was like, "I need to get out of here. I need to go to Phoenix." And Charlie's like, "Well, your mom's not in Phoenix." And she's like, "I don't care. I'm leaving." And Charlie's like, "Well, why don't you like sleep on it? And if you still feel like this in the morning, I'll drive you to the airport." Like he's being like, that's more reasonable than I think he even should be. I think
Same.
that's kind of nuts to just like go to Phoenix when your family's not even there. But like
Yeah.
he's like, "All right, if that's what you want, like you can do that, but like sleep on it for a night," which is like, I don't know. He's just being like really nice about it, like despite the fact that she's like, "I'm getting the hell out of here."
She's like wigging out. Yeah, he's being a good dad. But then also something funny while all this drama is happening, something funny that Giu pointed out that I had never noticed before. Didn't you say that you like saw this online somewhere?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
where it's like, okay, so like as she's storming, like after like Edward and her like at the front door, and she's like, "Go away, Edward! Like we're breaking up. I never want to see you again." Blah blah blah. She storms up to her room, and if like it's just for like a second, but when she opens the door to her room, you can like see Edward pressed against the wall.
Yeah.
Never seen it before. I mean, of course, I had never seen it now, but like never seen it any of the times I'd ever watched this movie before.
I wouldn't have noticed either, but I saw just like a meme online of just like the images and comparing and like laughing at it. And I was like, "Wait, is that real?" And I had like looked away from the screen for a second and I was like, "Wait, we have to go back. I want to see if he's in the doorway." And he was. He's in the doorway. So if you watch it, look for him in the doorway. He's fully just like back against the wall and like peeking out.
So funny. Okay.
Oh my
I
god, it's
just
so
like
good.
I never knew it. It was that was like a Easter egg found.
Yeah, that was my first time, like, seeing that too, because I had never picked up on it. Because it's just for 1 second. It's like she just opens the door, he's there, and then she shuts it, so if you're not paying attention, you won't notice it. Bella says that she's gonna, like, be stuck there just like her mom and, like, leaves, and then they're in the car, and then this is when Emmett jumps into the truck. I don't know if he was there before, but anyway, it's the 3 of them
Oh
now.
yeah, this is when he joined.
And then we were very disappointed that when they get to Edward's house, they don't care or Emmett doesn't carry her in like a football.
Yeah, in the book, there's like this really particular moment where it's like Emmett tucked Bella under his arm like a football and ran her inside. And I just wish that they had done that. But no, they just all calmly walked into the house under their own volition. So opportunity missed.
Yeah, and I think like everyone had been picking her up, and then when Alice goes to pick her up, she like asks, and she's like, "You're the first one who's asked." But no, there's no picking up of Bella, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So they're going in, and Laurent's there, and he quickly leaves. I don't even think that we get a lot of dialogue there.
There's not a ton. He's mostly just like, I don't want to be associated with James anymore. I'm gonna go like to the other vegetarian vampires, blah blah blah. I like Laurent. He's not a bad guy.
Yeah. And then we're in their 3-car garage where Rosalie's mad that she has to help Bella, but then she's going to help anyway.
She does end up helping in the movie, which she doesn't actually help in the book.
I guess they had to make her somewhat redeemable for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But Bella ends up leaving with Alice and Jasper, and she tries to call her mom, and her mom doesn't answer. And then Rosalie and Emmett and Eddie are like, I think they have stuff with like her scent on it because Rosalie is like wearing a jacket and like rubbing it against a tree.
It's like her clothes.
And then later, James is there and he's like sniffing around. And then we're at the hotel, and Alice is like, James changed course. And she sees the mirror room, and Jasper's sketching. And Bella's like, huh, that looks like the old ballet studio. Which I actually liked how they just worded that better because the result is the same. But I remember in the book, I was like, how does she just look at like this random drawing of like what probably looks like a generic looking ballet studio and is like, that is definitely my old ballet
The
studio?
exact ballet studio that I went to. Yeah, it makes more sense here.
Yeah, I think so too. It just the result is the same, so ultimately it's not that big of a change. I don't know. I like this better because she picked out something specific and was like, "Oh, that thing in the drawing reminds me of something I saw as a kid."
I actually like how they just handle this whole kind of like thing that's about to happen better. Like the whole like James calling her the ballet studio and Alice's vision, like the whole kind of like this phoenix little leg of the adventure, because like I think you're about to say like that like Alice and Jasper are like downstairs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I don't even think we know exactly where they are, but we get a scene of James calling Bella and she answers and she hears her mom like,
But nobody's in the room is the important part, because in the
yeah.
book, the part that made me mad was that like Alice and Jasper were in the room with her when she gets this call, and I think that they would have been able to hear exactly what was going on the phone because James started talking
Oh yeah.
while Bella was still in the room with them. But so this makes a lot better sense that like it all happens while Bella is alone.
Exactly. So James is just telling her she has to get away from her friends if she wants to save her mom, and she just like walks out of the hotel because no one's with her at that moment. But before they were like they went to a hotel and then they went to an airport, and then you and I were trying to figure out like the layout of the airport, and we're like, well, how is she like going in the bathroom and not without them noticing? And
Convoluted. The bathroom had to have like two entrances, like on different like areas of the and like Bella had to it was like very convoluted where like this made a lot more sense and was like simpler because like it's literally just like she gets the call while nobody's in the hotel room with her, and then she fucking leaves before Alice and Jasper come back.
yeah, I feel like the airport was just unnecessary.
Same.
Then Bella makes it to the ballet studio and she opens a door to a little side room and sees a tape playing of her and her mom when she was a kid, and she turns around to see James and he takes out a camera and he's like, I'm gonna record me killing you and send it to your boyfriend, basically.
Yep. Yep. He's like
Which is pretty evil.
very evil. Yeah, he's like, you fell for my trick. I had lured you here with the tape, and now I'm gonna make a movie, and your boyfriend's gonna hate me. And Bella's like, no, I don't want that to happen. It's kind of like a little less scary. It's like very, this is kind of like it ramps up to like being a very chaotic scene, but I don't think like her actual confrontation with James is as scary as it is in the book.
Think so either. And this is where she pepper sprays him. The pepper spray is back in play. Listen, if she had pulled out a gun and shot him, that would have been really funny. I don't think it would have killed him because he's a vampire, but wouldn't it have been way more funny and dramatic?
Yes. Absolutely yes. I agree with you. Like I think that I also wish that Charlie had given her a gun.
You know how people do like Harry Potter but with gun edits?
Fuck. Yes, I do.
Okay, that we need that for this.
Twilight, but with guns.
And then Bella's wearing her iconic blue jacket again, and James is basically just beats the shit out of her and he breaks her leg. And then Eddie enters and they fight. And Bella's pulling glass out of her leg and she's bleeding everywhere. And then Eddie and James are fighting more. And then Bella looks at her wrist and sees that she's been bitten. And then Eddie bites James's throat, and I think he like
That was pretty intense.
rips off a chunk of skin or
It
something.
was literally crazy because the audio description was like Edward bites James's neck, rips it out, and spits. And I'm just
Yeah, it
like,
was crazy.
whoa!
And then Carlisle's like, "Remember who you are," and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that Mufasa said that in The Lion King.
Remember, I was personally just singing that little part from Reba the Genetic Opera where it's like, remember who you are, remember what you did to money.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. I would do a podcast about Repo.
We fucking should. I don't know how we're going to connect it to the greater Twilight extended universe, but we will find a way.
We will find a way. All right, and then they start ripping up the floorboards, and they're like, "There's a fire that started." I don't know if they started a fire.
Yeah, they start the fire to burn James's corpse because that's the only way that you can kill a vampire. You like have to fucking like break its neck, rip its head off. Was this like before or after fucking Alice jumps in?
No, that's after. So they're ripping up the floorboards, and they're just like basically grabbing him, pulling him over, and Alice fully like jumps onto his back, like holding onto him with her legs, and just breaks his fucking
Snaps
neck.
his fucking. I was like, fuck yes. I fully did not remember that Alice did that. I just did not remember. It doesn't happen in the book. I am so that makes me so fucking just like filled with joy. I don't know why, but I love that Alice.
Because Alice got her badass moment. We love it.
Yes. Yes, she's such a badass. She just snaps his fucking neck. Like, yeah.
And then Bella's on the floor dying, and she's like watching James getting hurled into a fire. And like for I know I said this, but for our main characters to just be like brutally murdering somebody is just like so crazy.
It's a lot, and there's a lot going on screen right now. Like, it's super chaotic. Bella's like on the floor, like freaking out, like seizing, like this, like just making the wildest noises. Like everybody's ripping shit up. There's like fire and blood everywhere. Everybody's fucking screaming. Like it's a wild scene.
Yep, and while all this is happening, eventually Edward comes over and he starts like sucking the poison out of Bella's wrist, and he starts like drinking her blood, and Carlisle's like, "Stop, you're killing her."
It's like the blood is clean. You have to stop. And then he's just like, can't stop, won't stop. And Bella's just like fading out, just fading out on the ground.
She fades out and wakes up in a hospital to see her mom there. And then her mom describes to her how she fell and broke her leg and fell out of the window of the hotel and like fell down multiple flights of stairs.
Down 2 flights of stairs and through a window, which I still hold is very believable. Even Bella's like, sounds like me. Not in this movie. She has not been clumsy enough, but like, I still fucking love that.
They did not mention Alice fabricating the evidence, which is fine, but I would have liked if maybe we got like just a couple flashes of her destroying a hotel or something. That would have just made me so happy.
Oh my god, like throwing a chair through the window. Yes.
Yeah. But it's her mom telling her and not Edward, so she's getting like the fake version essentially. Bella declares to her mom that she like wants to stay in Forks, and then her mom exits and Eddie enters. And he's like, "We took care of James and Victoria ran off, and you should go to Jacksonville." And then Bella starts to panic because she can't live without Eddie.
Flips out. She's like it's like Giu kind of said, like, I don't know how I feel about Kristen Stewart's like panic reaction. Like, I think the babbling is a bit much. I personally liked it. Like, it was bad. It wasn't believable, but it was like funny.
That's fair. I think the enjoyment of it was there.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that the scene just kind of ends there. Like Edward kisses her forehead, and that's it. And in the book, he like convinced the nurse to illegally give Bella drugs. So they made Edward so much less shitty in the movie. Like I'm starting to understand how so many females had a crush on him.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely is less shitty. He's like a lot more gaslighty in the.
No, he's kind of just like I think the biggest problem in the movie is that he's just like kind of mysterious and they don't really know each other. But like that's I think the biggest issue aside from the fact that he might kill her because he's a vampire. But like all of like the gaslighty, manipulative, like assholery that goes on, it's largely not there in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, he's just kind of like a weird guy.
Then at Bella's house, she descends the staircase and she gets her prom walking into the room moment and she's wearing like this blue dress with like a boot because her leg is healing still.
Broken still. Yeah, it does seem like she knows they're going to prom.
It does. It does. In the book she wasn't really sure, but you made a good point about that.
Yeah, in the book she like it wasn't even that she wasn't really sure. She legitimately like didn't even think about prom until they were already like there cuz she's like very stupid because like but whatever, that is notwithstanding. She knows what they're doing tonight and that's good.
There was some communication that happened between Bella and Edward, and they get there, and Edward walks away for a moment. We don't really know what he's doing or whatever, but then Jacob just walks out of the woods. He literally just emerges from nowhere and is like saying that Billy paid him to be there, and he's like, Billy wants you to break up with your boyfriend, which I thought I liked this better too. There's actually a lot of things we like better about this, but I liked the way they did this because in the book, it had already been addressed that like Billy didn't like her and Jacob together. Like they had already talked about it and everything.
Or her and Edward together.
Yes, not her and Jacob, her and Edward. Billy had said to her, I think when they went over to watch sports ball, or maybe they brought over when they brought over
Football.
the fish fry or something. I don't know. It literally doesn't matter. But it had been discussed already that Billy didn't like them together, so it felt redundant for Jacob to show up now. I think maybe we do need a Jacob scene here to remember he exists, but for that to be the topic of discussion felt redundant. So I thought it made more sense in this because this is the first time it's come up. Like we know that they glared at each other, but Billy wanted Bella to know, don't do this.
Yeah, break up with your boyfriend.
Mhm.
Break up with your boyfriend. I'm bored, as Ariana Grande would say.
And then Eddie enters and he's like, bitch, get away from my girlfriend. And then they glare at each other.
This was kind of like a funny line because Edward is just like, man, I leave you alone for 1 minute and the wolves descend.
Yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah, and I also like I just like as far as foreshadowing goes, this whole part is kind of like a little bit of a foreshadow because like the way Jacob like just walks out of the woods, like what was he doing? Like why was he in
I
the
don't
woods?
know. Why didn't he walk in on the like sidewalk? Like why did
Like
he come
I,
out of the
I
woods?
literally think that he like had I'm not 100% sure, but like I think that's the reason.
That would make
I
sense.
think it's because he went there as a wolf and like then like came out and was like Billy wants you to break up with your boyfriend. Although I'm not 100% sure about the timeline like within the movie. So I could be wrong, but I'm like why would cuz it literally like the audio description even made a point of like saying like Jacob emerges from the woods. Like not like from the parking lot. Like
No, she was facing the parking lot with Edward and like turned all the way around to like view Jacob coming out of the woods. And I was like, where did he come from? Why did he do that? Why is he just wandering around?
where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did he come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
Cotton Eye Jacob.
Cotton Eye Jacob.
So they go inside, they take a photo together under this little archway, and it's like overlooking like some mountains and stuff. It's all very pretty. And Bella sees her friends, and they're like just waving at each other and stuff. And Jessica, oh my gosh, she has such hair reminiscent of the time. It's like in a headband, but then like the back of her hair is this big just bump.
It's like a bump it or something.
It's like a bump it. It's literally like a bump it. It's like a headband, and then the rest of her hair is like under a bump it, and it's like put up. So it kind of looks like a gigantic bun, I think. But I was like, holy shit, I have not seen like a bump it reminiscent hairstyle in so long.
Man, remember bump its? Holy crap.
I didn't until I saw Jessica's hair. It was a repressed memory. Then they're outside and
Let me just say, like, I do think the whole prom like vibe is very wholesome. It really reminds me like small town, small school, like gymnasium prom. Like all the kids are being very silly.
It was in such a nice venue, though. I was like, "Where
Oh,
did you
was
get the
it?
money for this?"
Okay, yeah, I
Mhm.
thought it was, like, in the gymnasium, I guess. Scratch that. Yeah,
No,
but
they had, like, a full-ass venue, and then, like, it was, like, on this overlook that was, like, overlooking mountains, which I guess maybe is just the scenery, so maybe that, like, doesn't mean anything, but they, like, had these decorations, like, a little, like, Monte Carlo archway that they, like, took a picture under, and then Bella and Edward are, like, dancing in a gazebo at the end outside.
okay, so way fancier than I was picturing it, because I was just kind of picturing it being at the high school, but, like,
They made it very fancy.
yeah, where did they get the budget for this?
Yeah, in, like, a small town, like, that school does not have that money.
In a town with less than 4,000 people, that high school maybe has 100 kids, maybe 150.
Yeah, I don't know where they got the money. Maybe it's such a small town that everybody knows each other, so they were like, "Eh, you can just have the prom here," or something.
Yeah, who
I
knows?
don't think we're supposed to think this hard about it.
Probably not. Eric looks very cute.
Yep, him and Angela are very cute. And then I think we see oh yeah, we definitely saw Jessica and Mike because we saw Jessica. I was just so blinded by her hair that I forgot about Mike's entire being.
Higher, like, presence, yeah. But yeah, everything's cute. Everybody's like, all the kids are very wholesome. And then, like, it's Edward and Bella dancing outside by themselves.
They're in a little gazebo, and I think at one point Bella's standing on his feet to dance, which is cute because her leg's broken.
Her leg, yeah.
And she's like, I want to be a vampire. And Edward's like, no. But he like kind of leans her back like he's gonna bite her, and then he just like kisses her. And she's like, I won't give in. I know what I want.
And then he's like, "Isn't a long, happy life with me like just as good?" And like, I refer back to the book podcast to really dig into my feelings about like Edward's refusal to give Bella autonomy over her own choices. But frustration.
Less mad about it here because she's asking him to do it basically, and then he has to decide if he wants to do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's valid. And she is like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to continue this. I'm dropping it for now. But
But before I think she mentioned that like Alice would do it or something, and then he was like, no, and like trying to control her further by being like, not only can I not do it, nobody can do it, you know?
yeah, it is a little less infuriating just like in this specific scene.
And Victoria's watching all of this from a nearby window.
Yeah,
Roll credits.
that was it. Yeah, it literally like ends with like Victoria walking away in her big fluffy white thing.
Oh, what a movie.
What a movie. I mean, like a true classic, a true like classic of its time. Like honestly, this movie is really good. I think we mentioned earlier that we're not like really familiar with like all the movies in the series. But this movie is legitimately good and has legitimate rewatch value.
I think so. It was actually really funny. Like actually okay, I was going to say actually funny. Some of it's intentionally funny, other parts are not intentionally funny but still just like pure gold.
Yeah.
This movie's really fun, and I think people like memed it to death and are like, I don't know why people like Twilight, but it was like genuinely a really fun movie, and
It's
I can
fun.
see why people like it, and I would watch it again.
Exactly, and the reason I think that it's been memed to death is because it's endlessly memeable. There are endless good, like, funny moments of this movie, and,
That is true.
like, there's endless screen grabs of Robert Pattinson's, like, face. Like I said, I think that, like, he might be the greatest actor of our generation, honestly, like, going back and watching this, like, having read how much I have of Midnight Sun, even though we haven't finished it, having read Twilight, being like older and like having a better like understanding, I think, like of his character and like having lived with it for longer, I think he's actually brilliant. You know, Midnight Sun hadn't even come out when he played this character, but he really, really nailed it, I feel like.
Yeah, not Edward Pattinson. I almost called him that.
Edward Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson's underrated, I think.
Yeah. He also did a really, really good job in The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, he did. He did this crazy voice. You couldn't even tell it was him, but he did a really good job.
Yeah, is crossing over with one of our other loves, which is now in the greater Twilight extended universe,
Yes.
and which maybe we shall revisit at a later time.
Yes, yes, yes.
Overall, like, I enjoy this movie. I genuinely have fun every time I watch it. It's silly, it's campy, it's ridiculous. We know all of these things about Twilight. This is why we love Twilight. And this movie just really epitomizes it perfectly, I think.
I agree. I think I might have liked the movie better than the book.
The movie's more fun for sure.
It's definitely more fun. And I feel like a lot of the shit that they changed, I was like, oh, I liked this better because of blah, blah, blah. So
It did make more sense.
I must have liked it better because I kept saying I liked it better.
I don't know if I like it better. I think that they did a really good job. Like, this is one of those movies to me, like Harry Potter. I know Harry Potter has a lot of issues, like, even just, like, with how people feel about the actors and, like, how true they are to, like, what the intentions were for their characters. Like, but it's like kind of become a cultural phenomenon where they are kind of interchangeable, like, in our minds, like that's just what they look like. And I think that Twilight recreated that very well. I think that they did a really good job with casting. I think Kristen Stewart is really good in this role. She honestly is. As much as people give her shit, she does a very good job with this character because Bella is boring.
She is boring. That was good. That was very eloquently put, and I completely agree.
Why, thank you.
Last time we rated the movie we watched on a scale from 1 to 4, based on, like, I think the movie as a standalone movie, and then its quality in the Twilight universe. I think that was our rating scale.
This is like full marks. This is the
Wow.
progenitor.
Yeah. Yeah, you love it.
Like, it has to be. I do, like, I'm not gonna say that this is like a masterpiece of filmmaking or anything like that, but I think that for what it is and what it represents and what it has spawned, it's nearly perfect.
Yeah, I like that actually. I think it has to be a 4 out of 4 in Twilight universe because this is the original.
Exactly.
And then I guess as a standalone movie, yeah, I guess maybe it's not a masterpiece, but on an enjoyability 4 out of 4, I'd give it a 4 for sure.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't bored at any point. I actually felt like the movie's pacing was pretty good. I mean their relationship obviously goes by really quickly, but it's like that in the book too. So I don't necessarily think that's a movie problem. I think that that's a Twilight problem.
Mhm.
But we accept it because it's Twilight, and this is a Twilight scale of enjoyability. So I don't know if it can get points up for that. Maybe like a 3.5 or something.
Yeah. I feel like honestly rating Twilight on a Twilight scale has to get a 4 of like a 4 out of 4.
It has to. It just has to.
Well, good. I really enjoyed this. I think this was a fun little thing. I think it was important for us to do this movie early on in the days of our recording to just to have it in the bank. And now it's done and we can move on and expand and enumerate the extended Twilight universe to our little psychotic fangirl heart's content.
Yeah, we couldn't do the book without doing the movie. It just didn't feel correct to do
No.
that. So now we've done both, and yeah, like Nichole said, we can expand now.
Indeed.
If you want to leave a suggestion, email us at nicholeandgiulive@gmail.com.
Please give us your suggestions. We're looking for a Kristen Stewart movie to do.
We are currently trying to find like the best Kristen Stewart movie to do because we just did Remember Me, which is like a just Robert Pattinson movie. So now we need a just Kristen Stewart movie.
Yeah.
So send us one. Send us the best one.
Yeah, please. And send us any comments and any, discussion points you might have. If we've sparked some ideas in your little brains, drop us a line.
That's fair.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Find us, please, on our socials. Everything is at Nichole and Giu Live. We're on Instagram. As Giu said, drop us an email at gmail.com. We're on TikTok. Where else are we? We're on
Spotify, YouTube. I think that's it.
Yeah, all the places.
Yep.
Find us. Anyways, we love you guys. Thanks for joining us for another episode.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time to the movie you picked for us. Yay!
Yay!